Most people are using ChatGPT like a search engine. They open a new chat, ask a quick question, get an answer, close the tab, and repeat the cycle tomorrow. On the surface, that feels productive, but there's a hidden cost. Every time you do that, you're resetting the system. You're throwing away context. You're starting from zero. You're forcing the AI to relearn what you already explained yesterday. And over time, that creates something most people don't even realize is happening: cognitive drag. You spend more time explaining than building, more time rephrasing than executing, more time restarting than compounding. Here's the uncomfortable truth. If you're using ChatGPT like Google, you're leaving most of its leverage on the table. Because large language models aren't search engines, they're thinking partners. And once you understand how to structure that relationship, the entire experience changes. You stop asking questions, you start building systems. And in this episode, we're going to break down exactly how that shift works. Not with hype, not with complicated AI theory, just a practical way to start getting 10 times more value from the exact tool you're already using. Let's start with the mental model most people bring into ChatGPT. Search. You have a problem, you ask a question, you get an answer. That's the entire loop. This model worked perfectly for Google. It works for Wikipedia. It even works for YouTube tutorials. But large language models operate very differently. They're not retrieving pages, they're generating responses based on context, which means something subtle, but extremely important. The quality of the output depends heavily on the context window you're providing. Think of ChatGPT less like a search engine and more like a consultant who just walked into the room. If you ask that consultant a random question with no background, they'll give you a generic answer. But if they've been working with you for an hour, if they understand your project, if they know your constraints, now the advice becomes tailored, more specific, more useful, more actionable. That's the leverage most users never unlock, because they keep resetting the conversation.
Let me show you what this looks like in real life.
Imagine a solo creator trying to grow a YouTube channel. Most people open ChatGPT and type something like, "Give me 10 YouTube video ideas." They get a list. Some ideas are okay, most are generic. Why? Because the AI doesn't know anything about the channel. It doesn't know the audience. It doesn't know the style. It doesn't know the positioning. So it defaults to the safest possible suggestions. Now imagine a different approach. Instead of one question, the creator starts by explaining the system. My channel helps solo entrepreneurs use AI to build leverage. The audience is mostly non-coders. They want practical systems, not hype. Episodes are about 12 to 15 minutes. Narration is calm, structured, and analytical. Now the AI has context. Then the creator asks, based on this positioning, what are 10 structural mistakes this audience commonly makes with AI tools? The answers become much more interesting. Now the creator asks, which of these mistakes would create the strongest YouTube episode if we focused on solving the underlying system problem? Suddenly, the AI isn't just generating ideas, it's collaborating. That's the difference. Here's the framework that explains this shift. I call it the context, collaboration, compounding loop. And once you see it, you start noticing it everywhere. Let's break it down. First, context. This is the part most people skip. Before asking for output, you provide the system with orientation. Who you are, what you're building, who the audience is, what constraints matter. Think of this like briefing a team member before a project. Without it, every answer will be generic. With it, responses become strategic. And here's the key. Context is reusable. You don't have to rewrite it every time. You can save it, reuse it, expand it. Which means every conversation starts stronger than the last. That's the first leverage point. Second, collaboration. This is where the interaction changes. Instead of asking one-off questions, you move into iterative thinking. You ask the model to critique ideas, refine structures, compare approaches, stress test assumptions. This is where LLMs become incredibly powerful. Not because they know everything, but because they can reason across large amounts of information instantly. Think of it like having a brainstorming partner who never gets tired. For example, a small business owner designing a course might ask, "Here's my course outline. Where are students most likely to get confused?" Then, what would simplify this section without removing important concepts? Then, If we removed Module 3 entirely, what structural gap would that create? Each question builds on the last. The conversation evolves. That's collaboration.
Then comes the third phase, compounding.
This is where the real advantage appears. Because the AI now remembers the project context within the conversation. You can reference earlier ideas instantly. You can refine previous work. You can iterate faster. For example, imagine you're writing content across multiple platforms. You've already used ChatGPT to develop your core framework. Now you ask, turn this framework into 3 LinkedIn post angles. Then, convert the strongest angle into a YouTube episode outline. Then, where would viewers most likely drop off in this script? You're not starting over. You're evolving the same idea across multiple formats. That's compounding. And it dramatically reduces the amount of thinking you have to redo.
Let's make this even more concrete with 3 real-world scenarios.
First example, a freelancer writing proposals. Most freelancers open ChatGPT and type, "Write a freelance proposal for a web design project." The result? Generic. Forgettable, because the AI doesn't know the client. Now imagine this instead. The freelancer pastes the client's project description and asks, what are the 3 hidden risks this client probably hasn't considered yet? Now the proposal includes insight, not just services. And that changes how the freelancer is perceived. That's leverage. Second example, a solopreneur designing a product. Instead of asking, "Give me product ideas," they explain their audience, their skill set, and their constraints. Then they ask, what problems does this audience repeatedly try to solve with tools instead of systems? Now the product idea emerges from structural pain points, not random brainstorming. Much stronger foundation. Third example, a creator planning a content series. Instead of generating isolated video ideas, they ask, what sequence of videos would move a beginner from confusion to confidence in this topic? Now the AI designs an educational arc, which means every piece of content reinforces the next. Audience retention increases. Channel authority increases. That's compounding leverage. But let's be honest, even once people understand this idea, they still fall into traps. So let's look at 3 common failure modes. The first failure mode is prompt minimalism. Cause: trying to write the shortest possible prompt. Symptom: generic, surface-level responses. Fix: treat prompts like briefings. More context usually leads to better thinking. Short prompts are efficient, but they sacrifice depth.
Second failure mode,
Conversation resetting. Cause: starting a new chat for every task. Symptom: repeated explanations, inconsistent results. Fix: maintain project threads. Use one conversation for a specific project or goal. Let the AI accumulate context. That's how collaboration emerges.
third failure mode,
Answer addiction. Cause: asking the AI to solve everything immediately. Symptom: shallow thinking and weak decisions. Fix: ask diagnostic questions first. Instead of "write this," ask, "What information would improve this result?" Or, "What assumptions am I making that might be wrong?" This shifts the AI from generator to advisor, and the quality of the output increases dramatically.
So how do you actually implement this starting today?
Here's a simple structure you can follow. Step 1. Create a project context block. A short description of what you're building, who it's for, what success looks like. Save it. Reuse it. Think of it as your AI briefing document. Step 2. Start conversations with clarity before requests. Explain the situation first, then ask the question. This prevents generic outputs. Step 3. Use progressive questioning. Instead of asking for the final output immediately, explore the thinking process first. Clarify problems, compare approaches, stress test ideas, then produce the output. Step 4. Keep important projects inside long-running conversations. That allows the AI to remember earlier reasoning and build on it, which dramatically increases speed and consistency.
Let's pause for a second.
Because this shift is subtle. You're not changing the tool, you're changing the interaction model. Search engines answer questions, LLMs participate in thinking. That's the structural difference. And once you adopt that model, the entire experience feels different.
So here's something practical you can try today.
Open ChatGPT. Instead of asking a question, describe a project you're working on. Explain the goal, explain the constraints, then ask one question. What are the 3 biggest structural mistakes people make when approaching this problem? Start there. That single prompt often produces more insight than dozens of quick questions.
And here's your follow-up for this week.
Create one persistent AI workspace. One conversation dedicated to a project you're actively building. Treat it like a thinking partner. Keep returning to it. Add context as the project evolves. You'll start noticing something interesting. The AI stops giving generic advice and starts giving project-aware guidance. That's when the leverage shows up.
Now I'm curious about something.
When you use ChatGPT today, do you mostly ask quick questions, or are you already using it as a thinking partner? Drop a comment with one word: search or collaborate. Because understanding how people currently use these tools tells us exactly what we should break down next. And if you're interested in mastering AI as a leverage tool, not just a novelty, that's exactly what this channel is here to explore.
Turning AI from a novelty into real leverage. If that's the direction you want to go, make sure you're subscribed. New episodes break down practical systems for using AI in business, content creation, and decision-making. Without the hype, without the noise, just clear frameworks you can actually use. So subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.